Nevertheless, Donald Trump yesterday was making a strong promise to Christians. He wants to get rid of the Johnson Amendment. How he learned about that, I have no idea, because I've been fighting that thing for 20, 30 years. But that Johnson Amendment is the IRS rule that was put in by Lyndon Johnson that forbids nonprofits from engaging in politics. And it's been used as a club by the IRS to silence a vocal group of our citizens. Terry.
Well, Trump talked about that pledge yesterday when he spoke to hundreds of evangelical leaders in Orlando, Florida. CBN's Jenna Browder brings us that story, including her exclusive interview with the Republican presidential nominee.
How did it go in there?
I think it really went well. I think the people are fantastic. We had a record crowd of pastors, mostly pastors, and their families, and I think it went amazingly well.
Donald Trump courting Christians on the campaign trail.
So I had a long, beautiful speech written, and I read it. I said, boy, this is boring. This is not what we want to talk about. Because I know a lot of the pastors. I know some of the pastors in the room, and I refuse to put them to sleep, right?
In true Trump style, the Republican presidential nominee spoke off the cuff.
Did you notice I took the teleprompters down, right? I had teleprompters. No, I had a speech written by a professional, and I said, I'm not reading this.
The crux of his speech, repealing the Johnson Amendment.
If I get elected president, one of the early things, one of the absolute first things I'm going to do is work on totally knocking out the Johnson Amendment.
The 1954 amendment was created by then-Senator Lyndon B. Johnson. It limits the free speech of pastors, essentially threatening to take away a church or nonprofit's tax-exempt status for endorsing or opposing a political candidate.
They get absolutely hit with the 501c3, which is the tax-exempt status, which is a tremendous hit. I mean, it's a shattering hit. And it really keeps them silent. Free speech is being taken away from people that are great people, from people that are saying good things, not bad things. And if I can do that, I will have done a great thing for religion as a whole, and it's so important to me.
And Trump knows it's a major selling point to get Christians from the pews to the polls.
The words I said today are so important, and I was honored to get the kind of ovation I got. But they understand, and I think it'll be a tremendous achievement if we can get it done. And I know we'll get it done if we can get elected. That's why I say on November 8th, everybody has to get up and vote. Because 4 years ago, the evangelicals just didn't vote. Christians didn't vote.
Trump is trying to change that by speaking at events like this one and by showing a softer, more humble side.
In your RNC acceptance speech, it was a really endearing moment. You said you thanked the evangelicals for their support, but you said, I don't necessarily always deserve it. Why did you say that?
Well, because I think I'm not perfect, and because I think maybe I'm less perfect than some people, but I have certain abilities that are good, like being able to do things. And I think I'll be able to do things that will be really great for the evangelicals and for others.
His speech, it came across as humble. It wasn't a campaign speech.
Donald Trump is not trying to be an evangelical preacher. I think what he's saying is he understands our problems, he understands our concerns, and he's going to be a champion for us.
I know when people don't like me, and that's okay. Either way, I'd prefer the liking, but sometimes it doesn't work out, no matter what you do.
But some are willing to look beyond that.
You know, a lot of Christians believe that you have been chosen for such a time as this. Do you believe that's true? And have you ever considered that maybe this is a divine calling?
Well, you know, I've heard that from others, and I've heard it from pastors. I've heard it from others, and I don't really even want to think about it because it's too big of a burden. But I can say this, that if I can do what I'm saying I can do, and I'm not only talking with the military and building it up and safety and security and, you know, because our country's in such bad shape in so many ways.
Divine calling or not, Trump says he is a friend to Christians.
And religious liberty, you talked about that some. You know, a lot of Christian business leaders are getting attacked, you know, because they don't want to support gay couples or they don't want to provide services. You've said in the past that you would defend these businesses. What would you do to protect these these businesses?
Well, you know what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do to protect, and what I'm going to do, I think most importantly, is work on exactly what I talked about today.
They believe so much in religious liberty, as I do, very much. Because without religious liberty, you don't have liberty. Okay, you don't have liberty.
And that's exactly what evangelicals want to hear. But Trump still has work to do. Most of these pastors are on board, but admit he wasn't their first choice.
Some of the things with Donald Trump, not sure exactly what we're going to get. We'll have to see. But with her, with Hillary Clinton, I know what we're going to get, and that just looks bad all across the board.
We can open up the voices of great people, the pastors and the ministers and the priests and the rabbis and people of religion. I think that will be something that I will be so proud of.
This was a move in the right direction for Donald Trump, but of course, only time will tell if it in fact translates in the polls. Reporting in Orlando, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
I must confess, over the decades, I have never heard a presidential candidate speaking so forcefully about religious liberty. They sort of nod and pat you on the back, and that's what happens. They run the evangelicals out for a vote during a campaign, and then when the campaign is over, they guys forget their promises and they go back to doing business as usual. I think Trump means it. But he also feels that this election is in the hands of the evangelicals. If the evangelicals turn out to vote, he thinks that the Republican slate will win. And if they don't turn out to vote, then they're going to lose. It's just that simple. But this is a huge block of votes, and he appreciates it. But the fact that he's zeroing in on the Johnson Amendment, I've been fighting against that thing for decades. And I have never, and I mean never, heard a national figure speak as forcefully about the Johnson Amendment. They duck it, and I have lobbied and talked to the ones, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee and speakers of the House and all these other people, and they all kind of nod and say, yeah, we'll try to help you, and they never, ever do. And that goes all the way back to Ronald Reagan. I mean, he could have done some stuff too, and he didn't. So they sort of say, well, yeah, let's take you down to the poll. You vote for us, and then you go back and sit in your pews and keep your mouth shut. Trump is saying, you speak out and get with it. I mean, that is a very refreshing refrain. But I know exactly what the IRS has used this as a club over the heads of religious organizations. And the amazing thing is, on the left, black pastors, for example, don't hesitate to speak by name and name candidates and support candidates by name from the pulpit. And the IRS doesn't touch them. But the weight of the IRS comes against conservative Christians on the conservative side of the spectrum. And it's no question about it. I mean, I've seen it with Lois Lerner when she was in the FEC and then later in the tax-exempt branch. She just apparently hated Christians. And now, I mean, she pled the fifth because she'd broken so many laws, and I don't think they've ever punished her. She still maybe gets a pension. But anyhow, this is the campaign we're seeing, and big thing is, I want to say again, register to vote. If you're not registered, you can't vote. Whatever it takes to get yourself registered, go do it.